Welcome to the garage on RidebuyPh. For today, we have one of the most popular subcompact crossovers in the market today. Ito ay isang modelo na talagang isang tingin pa lang mapapa. Ang ganda niya talaga. And it is none other than the GAC Emzoom R-Style GL, which I think, if I'm not mistaken, was launched 2 years ago or late last year. Pero it still looks very nice until today. And sa unang tingin actually, noong una kong nakita to, isip ko parang medyo sumobra, medyo OA. Kasi talagang it looks very racy, very aggressive. But the more I look at it now, the more na-appreciate ko na it's really a unique and sporty look na talagang unmistakable when you look at it. For example, here's the front, very distinctive yung grille. So marami siyang mga parang ngipin ng balyena, if I call it that, but they call it a flying wing. So these vertical slats, they actually curve inward there, parang ngipin. And then meron siyang gold accents here, but it's still just plastic, of course. Here, yung lower bumper niya, ano ba tawag doon? May parang wing, parang F1 style. May aerodynamic effect siya dito. I don't know if that really helps to stabilize the car at high speeds, but probably because one of the other highlights of the Emzoom is the engine, because it is a 1.5 liter turbocharged inline 4 rated at 174 horsepower and around 230 Newton meters of torque through a 7-speed DCT. Now, that is a lot of power for a 1.5, especially because dala yan ng turbo niya. Normally kasi pag sinabing 1.5, siguro sagad ka na ng mga 110, 115 horsepower. Because it's a turbocharged, it's a low-pressure turbo, it can produce that much power. And later, you'll see how smoothly it delivers that power. Hindi siya yung parang race car na nakakapagod gamitin. Other details that I like about this car, in terms of the looks and also in terms of how it handles, are the tires. It wears 235 45 series 19-inch tires. And take note, hindi ito mumurahing Chinese na gulong. Wala namang masama doon, okay? But these are Michelin Pilot Sports. The same model that is outfitted to mga Porsche. Of course, not the same size, but that kind of tire spec. It's a very high-end spec for an affordable crossover. Why do I say affordable? Because right now it is priced at around 1.136 million. That's very reasonable. You're getting a lot of car for this price point. So other details with the Emzoom. Sorry, ang kulit ng alarm niya kasi tuwing lumalapit ako nag-unlock siya. You'll notice here, pop out yung door handles niya. Sa totoo lang, I'm not too sold on that. Kasi ngayon, okay siya na gimmick. Looks very high-end, you know, parang makikita mo sa mga Bentley, mga Benz, kaya nasa yung susi. Ang problema, so if I lock it, it goes flush. And if you unlock it, lalabas siya. And then spring-loaded siya. Ang ano ko lang is, if you're buying this for a long term, I don't know how long this will last kasi may mga motors yan and eventually these will wear out and you need to replace them and that will cost you more than a normal door pull. But that's just me. Right, so when you go around to the back, meron siyang ducktail spoiler na may aerodynamic effect din dito. You can see na may channel siya here for, may sensor din siya for the automatic tailgate. Di mo na kailangan pindutin, na-sense lang niya lumapit ako, bumuka siya mag-isa. And if you don't like that feature, kasi you're conscious about your security, you can set it to not automatically open. But you have to hunt for that feature in the menu. So sara muna natin to. So imagine for 1.1, you already get a power tailgate. That is an unheard of standard feature only a few years ago. Usually you only get that in yung mga high-end talaga ng mga SUVs. But now it's just standard, like aircon. So again, aerodynamic spoiler sa taas. And then look at this diffuser. Yan, bumukas na naman. Ang kulit nito. So this diffuser kind of makes you think of parang mala Lamborghini or Ferrari, but of course it's a GAC. Pero still, it's a little bit overdone. But you know what? If I was buying this car, I would say, sulit siya. And take note, these are twin tailpipes and they have variable exhaust feature pa, which we'll demonstrate later. Now, since nakabukas na siya, let's talk about the cargo space. Honestly, it's not a lot. Total cargo volume is about 341 liters. And as you can see here, ang liit ng space here, so wala siyang tonneau cover. Normally with crossovers, meron siyang takip dito, di ba, na para matakpan yung mga bags mo for security purposes, pero here wala. Kasi sobrang liit na ng space. Although, if you really need the space, you can still fold down the seat backs. Pero kung ang purpose mo for buying a crossover like this is pangkarga, maybe this is not the car for you. This is a car you buy because you need the space of a crossover, more space than the usual, but you also want a very sporty experience. So how sporty? Let's get inside. All right, so let's check out the interior of the Emzoom. Right away, you can see na inspired yung color combination niya. So obviously, there's a lot of plastic in this car pa rin, pero yung choice niya of a light brown paired with the gray and the black gives a nice contrast para mas high-end yung look and feel niya. And if you look closely here on this panel, may mga lines siya dito, vertical, diagonal, for added, added effect. Doesn't really change anything to the car, pero para maiwasan yung napaka-plain na itsura. And if you look here pa, perforated yung leather upholstery. But again, there's my pet peeve with cars like these, na yung mga top of the line, gustong-gusto nila talagang lagyan ng leather upholstery mga kotse. Pero sa totoo lang, sa init ng panahon natin, hindi masaya pumasok sa kotse na naluto sa araw. Tapos hihintay mo pang lumamig yung aircon. Usually, fabric upholstery is really a lot better because it's more breathable, it's more ideal for our climate. Pero ganun eh. And coming in pa, the steering wheel here is very sporty, maliit siya. It's a little smaller than the usual you would expect. It's a 3-spoke. Obviously, the usual controls here for your stereo, yung mga driving aids mo. But the touchscreen here is what you will rely on for most of the features. So here, right now it's on the menu to choose your driving mode. You can choose Eco, Comfort, Sport, or Sport Plus. So as you change modes, mag-change yung manner of power delivery niya, yung steering effort, and even yung variable exhaust niya. Pag nasa Eco ka or Comfort, it's at the quietest exhaust setting. But when you switch to Sport or Sport Plus, may bubukas na mga valves dun sa metambucho, so mas throaty yung tunog niya, para kang nagkaroon ng headers bigla. I can't explain how actually they did it, but it just sounds a little bit better. Although hindi naman siya nakakarinde. Also, when you go to Sport Plus, the screen here changes to display your boost gauge, temperature, oil pressure, oil temperature, and air temperature. That's useful if you're doing track days, I guess. Although, sa totoo lang, as much as I would love to take this on a track, one thing that will really stop you is the transmission. Because it's a DCT, which is in itself is not bad, except wala siyang manual mode. So sa track day, gas and go ka lang. Not a lot of fun. Kung merong sasakyan na sana may manual talaga, it would be this one. Moving on, so the Emzoom has a few party tricks up its sleeve because a lot of the functions here can be accessed, such as hanapin ko lang meron siyang setting. Nope. Yan lang, kailangan kabisado mo yung sasakyan mo dito. My vehicle. Okay. With this menu, you can open everything at the touch of one button. So one button, express down for all the windows. And to close it, you can also open the sunroof, I think. No. Ayun. So you can do that here with the screen, or you can also do it with here, yung traditional buttons mo. You can also adjust your mirrors here, or you can adjust it with the traditional panel here. So they like redundancies. Ambient lighting can be changed. You can't see it now because it's daytime. Pero sa gabi, you can change it from white to pink to purple, yellow, lime green, kung ano yung gusto mo. So my wife liked this when she saw it. Yung dashboard na mismo, the instrument cluster has several viewing modes. So right now it's showing me tire pressure as on the main display, aside from engine speed, gas, and speed. If I press, do I have to press? No. Okay, no. Yun. Ayan. So you can shuffle through various windows here. You can show yung trip odometer mo. Now it's showing me 11.6 liters per 100 kilometers. So that's a little over 9 kilometers per liter. In city driving, not bad, not great. Okay lang, normal, as expected. Ano yung mga driving functions niya? Advanced driving modes. So let's go here. So yung mga advanced driving aids niya, forward collision warning, you can turn these off. Forward collision warning distance can be set to near or far. Active braking assist, meaning pag nasensya malapit ka na mabangga at wala ka pa rin ginagawa, pepreno siya para sa'yo. Although I wouldn't trust that system 100%. Meron siyang lane departure assistance, meaning pag mawala ka sa lane mo, it will send an alarm to remind you to get back in your lane. Speed limit sign recognition. So if it sees a speed limit and lumalampas ka, mag-a-alert siya. Meron din siyang intelligent high beam or auto high beam, meaning you can, when the system is on, you can just set your high beams palagi, and then pag may nakasensya may parating na sasakyan, siya mismo maglo-low beam na para hindi ka bastos. Okay, other things. And then you can also set the internal. Okay, hindi ko na naiintindihan to ang high-tech niya. Wow. Okay. One thing that I like, aside from the Eco, Comfort, Sport, Sport Plus modes here, you can also you can choose your driving mode here with the shifter. You just cycle through it by just pulling back on the little shifter here. Now, what if you want the tipid mode of Eco, pero hindi mo gusto yung sobrang gaan na steering na default setting niya? What you can do is you go to setting. Whoops. Wow. Shit, nasa na yun? Ano yun? As I was saying, you can customize some of the settings here na aside from the presets ng Eco, Comfort, Sport, and Sport Plus. So right now, if I choose Eco, meaning tipid mode siya in terms of power delivery, but I can set the steering to sports mode, meaning you need more effort, so it feels more natural. Now, if you don't like that, you can set it to super light. So yun yung todo yung assist niya. Baba. Exhaust sound, pag Eco is closed by default and you cannot open it. Kailangan pumunta ka sa sport or sports mode para matunog mo yung sport sound ng exhaust. Yan nga, sports eh. Okay. So, one other thing. The dashboard, in general, I like it a lot because it's sporty and futuristic and very efficient. Also, get a lot of visibility all around. Konti lang yung blind spots mo dito. One thing lang, since mababa yung instrument cluster and ang tendency pag matangkad ka, matatakpan ng rim ng steering wheel mo yung cluster, this would be one of those cars that would have a very useful head-up display. Of course, at this price point, don't really expect that, but it would be a nice upgrade to have. Alright, so let's get moving. Alright, so good to go. I'm just gonna double check. Auto hold is on, ESP is on, steep slope descent or hill descent is on. Naka-off lang ang lane keeping assist ko because I don't like that feature. Active brake assist is still on. Let's go. So, muna tayo sa eco mode. So we're in a steep downhill, so automatic nag-on yung hill descent niya. So very gradual ang descent, very controlled. In hill descent mode, it automatically applies the brakes and engine braking para gradual ang descent mo. So basically just point the car where you want to go. Normally, most people will buy an Emzoom for city driving and highway. No? Hindi naman nila bibilin to for track use. So I think the 7-speed DCT in that context is fine. The 7-speed DCT is a big improvement over a CVT in terms of it's quick to shift. Wala yung rubber band effect of power delivery. But ang problem nito is because it is a turbo. So may turbo lag talaga yan. Turbo lag means that it takes a while before the power kicks in, and then when it does, magsusurge yung sasakyan. Very imperceptible, pero if you know what to expect, it can be jarring eh. So the turbo here kicks in at around 1,400. And then because very responsive yung DCT niya, pag mabigat ang paa mo, medyo nakakahilo. So in city driving, you have to be very, very gentle on the gas so that the car rolls along more smoothly. Kasi kung hindi, medyo nakakahilo because it's very proactive in changing into the lowest gear whenever possible for responsiveness. But on the downside nun is because there's a lot of torque to deal with, it can feel a little bit too energetic, if you know what I mean. Sometimes you just want a more chill ride, even in eco mode actually, and it gets even more aggressive when you put it in sport mode. For I guess 90% of your driving, eco mode will be fine. It doesn't hesitate to use the lowest gear whenever possible. Pag umaakyat ka ng very steep ascents here, and it's the smoothest shifting algorithm in eco. When you go to sport or sport plus, it's very aggressive. And konting tapak lang, sumusugod na siya. So, it's good kung nagmamadali ka or nasa mood ka talaga for that kind of driving. Pero kung hindi ka sanay, because it makes quite a lot of power for such a small car, I guess you have to be experienced to be able to handle that kind of power, because the faster you go, the more you're gonna need to stop quickly in case you need to, right? So, Sport Plus mode is not really recommended for mga tao na sobrang kating-kate na kaskasero, because you will get in an accident. I mean, I wouldn't rely completely on the car to save me from my idiocy. That being said, if you know how to handle a car, if you know how to handle a car that makes this kind of power, it's a lot of fun to drive, because even with a stock suspension na basic lang, with just struts in front and hindi nga siya multilink sa likod, this is just a torsion beam. Ang ganda ng pagkatono ng shocks, medyo matigas siya. So it's very disciplined and predictable. Even when you're in twisties, it's a lot of fun, especially since nagpa-firm up yung steering. So it handles as well as it looks, but again, I keep wishing that it had a manual mode, so I would have more control over my gears. As it is, that I have to rely on the computer to always choose the best gear for me. Now, the computer is very smart, but again, parang nakalaro ng PlayStation na automatic mode versus manual. Siyempre, mas masaya yung manual, kahit na minsan, baka mas mabilis pa yung automatic. But in terms of driving fun, the DCT kind of kills a bit of that. Yun lang. Alright, so that was a very nice drive. So now it's time to give our overall rating for the car. So just like you find in our website, we will be giving a numerical score rating of 1 to 10 per category or per criterion. So for performance, and take note that these scores are based also on the price, okay? For performance, I'm tempted to give it a 10 because of the power of the engine, the smoothness of the DCT, but I have to dock it a few points because, like I said, it really needs a manual mode. So, for performance, I will give it an 8.5. Now, for the handling, what can I say? It's a great handling little car. considering that it has only struts and a torsion beam. Pero the way they've tuned it, it doesn't feel like it. I guess it's down to the choice of the tires and the tuning of the shocks. So for the handling, I will give it a 10. Now for utility. A lot of people buy a crossover because it's supposed to be more useful than a normal hatchback or a sedan because of the supposed space. However, the cargo space at the back is not as big as I would hope it would be. So for utility, I will just give it an 8. Now for styling. As they say, styling is subjective. One person can be attractive, another person might call him ugly. So it's always subjective. To my eye, like I said, the more I look at it, the more I kind of appreciate the effort that went into it. So for styling, I'll give it a 9.5. Value for money. So here's where you weigh everything, the performance, the utility, the features, and weigh it against the price. So right now, it is at about 1.136 million for the R-Style GL. You get full set of advanced driving aids, you get those expensive tires, you get the turbo, you get the DCT, you get the panoramic sunroof, 360-degree camera, and all of that for 1.136. Value for money, easy 10. And finally, for the overall rating. So, congratulations GAC. I would give this car an overall rating of 9.5 out of 10. So, do check out the longer written review on our website, RidebuyPh/garage. Let us know what you think in the comments. Thank you.